Good evening, everyone, and welcome to week number 6 of Football Frenzy, brought to you by West Virginia University at Parkersburg. It was yet another exciting night of action in the Mid-Ohio Valley as we are officially into the fall. I'm Josiah Juniman, joined alongside by my partner, Griffin Albright. Griffin, it's hard to believe that we have reached the midway point of the season.
Yeah, crazy. That's right, Josiah. Teams are really rounding into form at this point of the year, and we're getting closer and closer to the stretch run right before the playoffs. We have learned a lot about these squads, and tonight we had plenty of interesting matchups on tap. Several of our teams had a chance to add a big win to their resumes as these games continue to get more important as the season goes on. We also saw a team trying to get their very first win.
The Parkersburg South Patriots were looking to finally give Larry Thompson his first victory as head coach of the program, but they faced a stiff test against undefeated John Marshall. Heading into this one, the Patriots had the Monarchs' number. South had not lost in the series in 5 years. They were searching for a 5th straight win against John Marshall.
Yeah, the last time these teams squared off, the Patriots dominated the Monarchs in a 41-12 road win in Glendale. This time, though, they played in Erickson. Let's go to Parkersburg and check out the action. And Parkersburg South has beaten the Monarchs, like we said, 5 straight times, looking to make it a 6th right here. Opening drive of the game, pitch goes to the running back, and he's going to cough it up. Diedrich Riggs pounces on it, and South takes over. Very next play, Kinson Lutchmansing fires a screen pass to Channing Barrett, and he bursts through the hole and down the sideline with his eyes on the end zone, but he'll get pushed out right at the 2. Monarchs, though, would hold. Patriots get it back, then hand it to Jaquay Brown, and he's going to break a couple of tackles, then step it into the end zone. South goes up by a touchdown early on here in the first quarter. Next series, Caden Knapp throws high, and Barrett levels the receiver. Pass incomplete on the big-time hit. John Marshall trying to get something going. Knapp rolls out, then launches downfield, but it's going to be intercepted by Taj Joyce.
Give me that.
Yeah, that would lead to another Lutchmansing screen. This one, too. Channing Barrett again, and he scoots into the end zone. 14-0 Patriots.
Nice.
Later, South threatening again. Lutchmansing going to hook up with Joyce for another TD. South gets their first win of the year, 41-14.
Love to see it for South. Out to Williamstown as the Yellow Jackets were at home taking on Chapmanville. Late in the first quarter, Dakota Dalton hands it off to Preston Kovach, and he runs through multiple defenders into the end zone for the touchdown. Tigers up 7-0. Later on, Dalton on the play fake. He fires down the field for a wide-open Easton Bender, who makes the catch for the score. PAT unsuccessful, so it's 13-0 moving to the second. Dalton with a screen pass to Trey Ward, and he cuts upfield. He'll take it all the way to the house for another touchdown. Now 19-0, but Williamstown fights back on the play action. Breck Allen finds Carson Haynes open for the score. That makes it 19-7. Midway through the second quarter, Allen is going to pump fake, then he sees pressure, so he's going to roll out to his right. He's looking downfield, then he heaves it to the end zone for Tyrell Miller for the TD. However, Chapmanville pulls away for the 50-13 win. Griffin.
Tough to see that for Williamstown. They need to get it going. To Stadium Field now, where the Big Reds are looking for their 3rd straight win. Riverside driving early on. Tavion Woods, the QB, with the run up the middle. Ball ripped out, and Javelle Chandler has it. Ensuing drive, Alex Greer throwing deep downfield, and the sophomore Brady Thorne makes the great play. What a catch, for the first. Some penalties push the Big Reds back, but Greer gonna connect with Thorne again over the middle as he cuts it back, then gets slung out of bounds by the jersey. Parkersburg is in business.
Nice play there.
Into the red zone, the big red zone. Greer faking the handoff, then rolling out and finding Titan Parsons for the touchdown. 25-0 PHS.
Beautiful.
40 seconds left in the first. Riverside looking to make a play through the air. Ball comes loose, and that would be ruled a fumble. Parkersburg on it in great field position. Big Reds now moving quickly. Handoff goes to Silas Chevron for the nice gain. Quick timeout. That led to a Cole Sisk field goal attempt, and he drains it to end the first half. Parkersburg wins it big, 48-0.
Now in Ravenswood for the Red Devils versus the Sissonville Indians. Sissonville's Maddox Baylog finds Colton Ross over the middle for the 22-yard touchdown and makes it 7-0 over the Red Devils. Ravenswood's Ralphie Rhodes with a tough 12-yard run here as he fights his way for extra yards. Indians get the ball back, though, after a blocked field goal. Riker Wiseman with a rushing touchdown, and that makes it 14-0 Sissonville. Indians back on the move. Baylog, this time, he'll find Brody Scott in the end zone for the touchdown here. Sissonville up 21-0. Yeah, that was pretty. Ensuing kick, Atreyu Copen is back to return, and he's going to take it up the middle. and break free.
Oh, there he goes.
And he goes down the sideline for the 81-yard touchdown. Red Devils finally get on the board. It's 21-7. Beautiful return there. And that gets the Ravenswood fans excited. Look at them all pumped up here after that score.
They are.
Love to see the school spirit.
Absolutely.
Right before the half now, Sissonville's Baylog, he's going to be picked off by Caleb Hupp. And that would send them to the half with the Indians leading 21-7. They would go on to win it 28-19. Well, stay with us. There's a lot more ahead on tonight's Football Frenzy.
Including the Eastern Eagles, who are back home taking on the Waterford Wildcats.